Hi, everyone. This is Tara. We'll get started in just a few minutes. People are still coming on. Just a reminder, please mute your phones. And also, we do have the chat box available to ask questions, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Because your thing is totally screwed up.
Please mute your phones, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is Kara Kumari with DIDD. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I hope everyone's having a great week. Thanks for joining us for office hours. As a reminder to everyone, please mute your phones so that we can have a productive conversation. And the chat box is available for folks to ask questions, and we will get into those, and we will take those as we get to them. Starting the way we always do, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Turner to say a few remarks, and then we'll jump into some questions and updates. Commissioner. Hey, Commissioner, I think the mute button's working a little too well. Okay, so commissioners apparently WebEx has decided to censor him, which is a little upsetting because obviously he is the man of the hour. But we are going to start, once we figure out what's going on with that, we'll get back to him. We are going to start with some questions, though. We did receive some questions via the inbox. Two of the questions we received are really on the same topic, and I will let Jordan answer both of these in the same answer. The one was, will the current residential homebound service be extended past June 30th? And then the other is many providers will be thinking about when to start getting people back out into the community. Each provider is making their own plans, and whether DIDD will provide any further expectations of providers to have those plans and execution for getting people back. Jordan, hopefully WebEx has not censored you, and you might be able to provide some insight into these.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Tara. Can you hear me?
Jordan, you sound great.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I kind of want to come at this from a couple of different perspectives. The first of which is we're continuing to meet both with national partners and leadership through NASDs and the Division of TennCare on the development of a strategy or at least recommendations that we can put out to the community. The challenge for us, and certainly the challenge faced by providers across the state, is the changing, first of all, the changing conditions of COVID and the rate of positive response that we're seeing right now. Obviously, we're in kind of a state of flux, and we're seeing increases, dramatic increases, in fact, in some metropolitan areas, while other rural areas are remaining fairly static. And as we've said last week and the week before, I want to remind the community as a whole that while we've approved homebound services for everybody that has day services, we have not removed community participation or employment services, and then the wraparound benefit that supports both from cost plans where those were previously approved. So the ability for individuals to engage in community activities is present, and as we've said in the past, and certainly will be the mantra going forward, those decisions are highly regionalized at this point, I would assume. The conditions, for instance, for folks considering community engagement in Johnson City are certainly far different than they will be in Davidson County. But we're counting on provider agencies, circles of support, ISCs specifically, to ensure that people are making informed decisions about how they engage in community outings. And again, a one-size-fits-all recommendation from the department isn't going to be appropriate now or probably even in the near future. What we are going to do is determine a path forward relative to homebound or extension of those services or some modification of programming to allow folks the flexibility to safely engage in the community if they want, but also to ensure that provider agencies are able to provide supports in-home to people who are still exercising caution, and justly so, certainly in many of the areas of the state during their day services activities. So the next meeting that we have with our national partner group is Friday. I would anticipate that we would be able to have some information relative to what we're going to do with homebound going forward by midweek next week. But as soon as we've solidified an approach, then we will communicate that to the provider community, just as we have since the onset of the crisis.
Thank you very much, Jordan. And jokes on WebEx, Commissioner Turner will not be silent. So here he is to talk, just basically kick things off again, and also talk a little bit about our testing efforts.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kara. And again, I apologize for the difficulties there. Hope everybody's had a great week. As Kara alluded to, we've had a very good and productive week. Certainly enjoy the engagement that we have on these calls, and I'm appreciative of the messages that you send to us and the questions that are submitted to us. I think it's important that we continue to be able to navigate this as best we can. A big highlight, as most of you know, has been the testing efforts that we've been putting forth all across the state. I shared with you that Tennessee's not only getting some local recognition in different communities for testing efforts that we're participating in our disability community, but nationwide, we're being recognized as a state leader all across the country. So I'm grateful for that. You know, one of the things that I do want to continue to encourage is if your provider organization is not participating, I really want you to give that some thought on seeing if there's a way that you can participate, if there's a way that DIDD can help you in those efforts. We're seeing a little bit of an uptick in different areas across the state. I think as testing efforts start to manifest themselves in even larger areas, we're going to see uptick in cases, but what we want to make sure we do is monitor our community in the best way that we can. We've still seen a number of asymptomatic cases all across the state, not specifically inside disability community, but holistically. And I know that there's been articles floating around. Phil Garner had shared one a couple of days ago that are showing the significant impact that COVID-19 is having on our population that is significantly worse than what it is in a traditional setting and in a traditional community. So I'm passionate about making sure that our folks have the opportunity to get tested. So if you're not doing that, if there's something that we can do, please let me know if there's a manner that might work best for your group to be tested. We certainly want to try to offer as much flexibility as we can to make sure that everyone that wants to be tested can be tested. And if Dr. Bruce Davis, I think, is still on this call, he'll be able to add a little bit more color and context to what I just shared in my message. So I will turn that over to him. Dr. Davis, if you want to run with it from here.
Dr. Davis, you might need to unmute your phone. All right, apparently WebEx is blocking everybody that we want to hear from. So if Dr. Davis is able to jump on and provide some insight in a little while, we will make sure to get to him. I do think that Jordan wanted to add something just about the data collection we're doing on our testing efforts. Jordan?
Sure, thanks, Carrie. Yeah, more than anything, I wanted to reinforce what Commissioner Turner was just saying. We're seeing some areas of the state and very specifically some agencies in general showing out in force and seeing extremely high percentages of persons being tested. We certainly appreciate that effort as those that are providing direct service to people across our system. Provider agencies are in a unique position to be able to both provide information about the test, the fact that the test now is as non-invasive as is available and is mostly, if not completely painless, and then underscore again the fact that the more information that we have, the more conclusive the data can be relative to the percentage of people that we're supporting that are being directly affected by COVID. We already talked just briefly this morning about asymptomatic cases, and the discovery of asymptomatic cases across our service network is probably more important, at least as important as it is in the general population. But because people we're supporting come in contact with numerous people throughout the course of a normal day, having information relative to them being positive, though not displaying symptoms, really helps provider agencies limit direct contact and then limit the spread. So my hat's off to the agencies, and certainly Commissioner Turner reviews this data twice a week at this point. Our hats off to the agencies that are really jumping in and helping with participation, and we hope that continues through the duration of our testing efforts.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Deputy Commissioner Allen had said, we've had over 2,200 individuals that have been tested, both through partnerships with the providers and those that have participated in mass testing. So we're seeing a steady stream of individuals, but obviously we have way more individuals in our population that we're hoping to get tested. So hopefully that number will continue to climb as it has been over the next several weeks, and we can have a really strong finish line in sight for our individuals that want to be tested and have some final numbers towards the end of the month. But again, We certainly don't want this to necessarily be a permanent finish line. Just in this initial phase of this 6 weeks that we've been doing this testing, we want to make sure that we've got good numbers to share with you and the governor's office as well. So we're going to continue to figure out ways that we monitor what that testing looks like. I know there's been questions in the past about, okay, well, once we're done with this, what does that look like? That's exactly where we're at right now, is figuring out what those supplemental phases of testing look like, because as we begin the community engagement, the reintegration, obviously employment opportunities, because that's another thing that we're pushing, making sure that companies that work with our population know that we're ready to go and that we have individuals that are excited to get back to work. So there's a number of things that we want to help supplement in this conversation, but specifically future testing. And so we're going to continue to put together a plan, be able to share that plan with you, hopefully sooner rather than later, but we don't want to sacrifice accuracy for expediency. So we want to make sure that we get that plan to look the way that we need it to look, that works for both DIDD, the provider network, but more specifically the individuals that we support. So there will be information forthcoming at some point on what the supplemental and the future testing plans look like as we move through 2020.
Dr. Davis, have you been able to unmute your phone? And do you have anything you want to add if you are available?
Let's see. Am I on?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Well, I won't try to go through anything that Jordan or the commissioner talked about there. I'll just say that this testing effort is really, really important. We've tested so far 2,159 people, 1,516 of those through our regional testing sites. Just to underscore how important this testing is, and to say, you know, we need a really much higher rate of participation in this than we've been having, because we just discovered 4 cases of people who were asymptomatic in the same home who all tested positive for COVID-19. And so those folks are potentially spreading that virus to others as they, you know, are sitting there asymptomatic. And so our testing efforts allowed us to discover those cases in that home and to take appropriate action. And there are other circumstances like that. I'm quite certain of it. And probably some of those who have refused testing may be asymptomatic people with COVID-19. So it's really, really important that we do this. And also, just to underscore the other aspect of this that is so important, is that as we start to talk about plans for moving people back into the community, having this baseline information about our population is going to be very important. And so as we assess the different actions that we're going to be taking over these months, then we're going to be using this as the baseline, basically, for what we were trying to address. And so I really want to just encourage people to talk to conservators, talk to person supported, encourage them in these last weeks of testing to get this initial testing done so that we can have that information, and so that if they are positive, that the appropriate actions can be taken and we can save people's lives. So I just really want to encourage that and support, you know, continue to support these efforts as we move forward. Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to actually really quickly just point to a comment that was made in the chat box from Janet Schaus. She says, as a family member of a person supported who has some challenging behavior issues, I want to say that he was tested by the DIDD staff at Clover Bottom and he did well. So the test wasn't bad and the staff was considerate and worked well with him. And we really appreciate that feedback from families, because we want families to feel comfortable and be able to reach out to us with the questions and concerns they have about the testing, so we can help them understand if they don't understand, but also help to put them at ease if they have some fears and some nerves. We've heard from providers that has been something that has been a barrier, and we want to help address that barrier and put people at ease. Looking through to see whether we have any other questions. Phil's question, Commissioner Turner pretty much hit. Does anyone have any other questions about either the testing or anything else DIDD related that we can answer? I will take this moment to let you all know that those testing numbers that we are doing, we are actually now, I'm going to share my web content. We did get many requests to you should be able to see the browser. On our COVID page, we did get requests to share those numbers. So we are updating this every single day. So you can see under COVID testing and results guidance, we have testing as of June 10th, number of tests reported, and the number of positive COVID results. So if you are interested in how these tests are turning out and what we're finding in the community, we are making that information public on our website for that transparency and accountability for folks. So I just wanted to make people aware that that is on our website, and that is a place where people can find that. Okay.
Kara, I would just point out that if those numbers differ at all from what I reported, that's probably because I gave a later update. Yes,
and no, like I said, we'll update all of the numbers, and we're moving so fast on this. Obviously, we're getting updates every single day. And I do see Dawn Redden's how many of the 2,000 plus tests have been positive for the virus. As you can see on that web slide, we have 60 positive cases, so we are happy to share that. And like I said, we are making that transparent and accountable, and providing that accessibility and accountability so that folks can see the numbers on a day-to-day basis. We do have some further questions about deaths and hospitalization. Teresa Sloan, our general counsel, I'm not sure whether or not we have that information available or if that information is shareable, but I'll turn that over to you.
I don't have the information regarding hospitalizations, Kara. I could go back and get that because it would be on the refs that are submitted. It's just not something that we track on a daily basis. And in regards to deaths at this time, there are 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kara.
I will say that there's an...
Tell Janet we'll get back to her because I can have those numbers pulled. I just don't have them in my spreadsheet.
All right. And yeah, we will look and get those numbers pulled for the hospitalizations as well. Any other questions? I think I'm seeing, I'm not seeing any other questions. Do we have any other questions while I pause for just about 10, 15 seconds?
Carol, while people are thinking out their questions, I can say that I did some calculations on the data from yesterday, and our rates of infection are running pretty close to the typical population as it relates to just people infected compared to the population that we're serving. And when you look at Tennessee's overall numbers, our numbers run pretty close to that. I don't want to mention a number at this moment, but I will at some point publicize what our numbers are in comparison to Tennessee's numbers overall. But right now I can tell you that they're running pretty closely to the same, and a lot of that has been caused. I mean, we are now running similar to the typical population because of the additional testing that we've done over the last several weeks.
And I am seeing that we're having some other questions about some of the breakdowns. Like I said, we don't have, I'm not sure that we have that information right in front of us, but that is information we can look at and aim to provide on our next call if allowable. Let's see. Okay, we have a question about the CID.
Sarah, this is Teresa. If I can answer that, what we can say, and probably the lowest we can break it down since there are so few deaths, is that there has been one death per region of the state, meaning west, middle, and east. Any further that we would break it down, I think would make the person very easily identifiable. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Teresa. We did have a question about is DIDD providing any recommendations tied to the increasing new cases being seen in Tennessee? I think Jordan covered a little of that in his opening statement in regards to guidance. Jordan or Bruce, do you have anything more you want to add?
Yeah, Karen, I think I can add just a little bit. I mean, part of what contributes to that increased rate is the fact that we're testing more people. And so, you know, as we test more people, we're going to see more cases. But this is information we need. I mean, obviously, if people are, you know, out there and they're asymptomatic and they're potentially spreading COVID-19, we want to find out about that. We don't want them to be doing that without knowing what they're doing. And so it's of extreme importance to do this testing to find out more information. We can't hide from it. You know, we have to deal with it. And so that's the reason that we're doing the testing. And that is contributing somewhat to the increased cases. The other part of it, of course, is that people are, you know, and this probably applies to our staff to some degree, that people are feeling freer now, and the safer at home order has been lifted, so people are interacting with their communities more, and so there's an increased risk from that aspect of it. Those are things that we need to really monitor and watch over the next weeks, and to be very cautious about opening up, although we don't want to put people with disabilities in a different position than the typical citizen out there either, and so these are matters of individual choice as well. So we just want to educate people, have people aware so that they can make good decisions about what they're going to be doing. Kara.
Great, thank you very much, Bruce. We have gotten a couple of questions about the budget and any updates on state budget issues. Commissioner Turner would like to address this, so I will turn this over to him.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. I know again that this has been significantly important to everyone, us included. So we're still in the process of working through what the DIDD portion looks like, and working very closely with the governor's office and the legislative body to try to figure out what that looks like, because I think when everybody hears this on the front end, they always tend to go to the worst case scenario, which is completely understandable. But I think with at least the discussions that we're having and a lot of the direction that we're being given, it's a lot of this is like cash money in your pocket. You don't know that you're going to need it, but it's good to know that it's there. And so as we work through this, what we're doing is we're going to continue to advocate for programs we believe in. We're going to continue to fight to make sure the individuals and persons supported are not going to be harmed by anything that might come of that. So while we don't have specifics on what that's going to look like, I just want to reiterate what I drove home last week is we're still making sure that we're on the offensive here. We're advocating for persons supported, and that we're going to continue to do that to the best of our ability. So as we move forward, we're hoping to be able to try to have some more information to share with you on what that's going to look like. But as of right now, there's no status change from what it was last week.
All right, awesome. And I do want to, I do see the comment about the video to share with some persons supported, and that's a really good idea. And I'm taking that into consideration and thinking about ways how we might be able to make that happen. Because I agree, if there's a way we can put some folks at ease on it, I definitely want to facilitate that and see what we can do to make that happen. So going down, I see Another question about community participation and recommendations on activities and community sites would be best and should be avoided at this time. Jordan, do you have any insight?
Yeah, I think consistent with what we talked about at the very beginning of the office hours today, those recommendations need to be discussed and made on an individual basis. As was indicated, the availability to engage in community participation, employment, and integrated services remains as it has throughout the duration of the pandemic. And so we're not adding those services back in. Those services are currently available. Recommendations for someone who's living in a county or in an area with relatively low exposure certainly would vary greatly from recommendations that would apply to somebody living in an area much more highly affected. And so the department ultimately has and will continue to provide guidance. We have not rolled back any of the latitudes that are provided to us through the Appendix K document. So agencies maintain the ability to enact their own individualized visitation policies, and certainly individuals maintain their right to make informed decisions about how they engage in the community. DIDD cannot provide guidance for agencies across the whole entire state when, in fact, the variables on a mile-to-mile basis change so dramatically. So we're currently counting on agencies and circles to make informed decisions. As we have more generalized recommendations that appear to be in alignment with federal and state recommendations and guidance, then we'll offer those. But right now, agencies have all the latitudes they have since the beginning of the crisis. We expect that they're weighing that information individually and making decisions that best fit their service demographic.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jordan. Seeing no more questions, I am going to turn it back on to over to Commissioner Turner to see us on out of office hours this week.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Again, thank you to everyone that has participated in all of these. Again, certainly think that there's significant value as we communicate. It helps eliminate any confusion or misunderstanding. And again, if you do have some questions, you don't have to obviously wait until office hours. We're here to try to help supplement and work with you to make sure that we're providing you information that's consistent and clear and concise for each one of your organizations and for the person supported. So with that, I will just say thank you again for everything that you're doing. Please express my heartfelt gratitude to your DSPs and all of your teams that are engaged every day at being the best that they can be to provide the necessary supports for every individual that they come in contact with and they're responsible for. Tennessee is continuing to lead the country at a very high level all across the board, and I'm very proud of all of us for the efforts that we've done to make sure that we stay in that top spot. So with that, I will turn it back over to Kara. Wish you the best for the rest of the week, and I hope everybody has a productive day. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And like I said, we are committed to continuing our office hours on a weekly basis for the time being. So we will be here next Wednesday at 9:30. Please submit your questions ahead of time, if you can, and we will be here to talk about everything we can, and hope you guys find this to be productive because we enjoy sharing these opportunities in this hour with you all as well. All right, thank you. Bye.